Hello and welcome to another episode of the J WAT Podcast. It is I, Waddy McFly, or Alexander Watson. I am by myself again this week. Tim is off hard at work on his own projects, on his own podcast. Please sure to go check those out. I'm sure he's got some really cool interviews coming up on the mic. So go check out On the Mic Podcast. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we keep consistent and make sure we keep things, just keep things going. So today I wanted to talk about, a few things. Again, I want to make sure we save the movie talk for when Tim's here. I know that he really enjoys talking about movies with us. And plus, he was at Midsummer. So I'm excited to hear the updates of that. I unfortunately wasn't able to go this year. I'm saving up my money to travel, headed to Norway very soon. But yeah, things have been going pretty great with J WAT. Demonetize again has been hitting a bunch of great festivals. If you're in Stavanger, I think I said, Norway. Hopefully, I always say Solvang because Solvang is a town about an hour or two away from me, and it's like a Dutch town, and Norway is not Dutch, it's Norwegian, so hey, that's fun. But Stavanger, we will be there. That's our next festival. That'll be happening coming up on the 29th of this month. Insane. I can't even speak because I'm so excited. And then we will be in Utah for the Zepp Fest Festival, which will be that Friday. Which is, I wish I should just have all these up so I can, September 4th, go check that out. You can find the tickets on our socials. If you're anywhere near Utah, come on out. We're going to have cast and crew there. And then also that weekend, I believe it's September 5th, we will be at the Virginia Genre Blast Festival. So we're excited to be a part of that. We've been wanting to be a part of that festival for some time. And some incredible people run it. So all festivals, come on. And then we will have our LA premiere October 2nd at the Gardenia Theater. So excited if you're anywhere in Los Angeles, please grab tickets to Night Frights. The cast and crew will be there. We'd love to come and chat with you about our film and, filmmaking in general. So please come and come check that out. So yeah, that's what's going on with Demonetize. We're working on distribution currently, and it's a lot different this time around. With Bundy, we really only had like maybe 2 options at one point, and then now I think we're at 11 or 12 distribution offers, which is very exciting. They are all pretty much the same, so it's kind of interesting to try and, pick one that stands out. But we have 2 or 3 that we're like, oh, okay, this could be a really great option to chase. So very excited about that. And let's see. So with Demonetized, we have to keep working. We have to keep working hard. And it's really interesting. I posted a couple days ago, it's the 5-year anniversary of when we first started shooting our first feature film, which is called Bundy Manor. And I was honestly like, wow, 5 years, that's crazy. And I got a lot of comments from other filmmakers being like, wait, it's only been 5 years since you guys shot that, and you already have a second feature in those 5 years. And I was like, yeah, I guess that is kind of quick, but you just need to keep that momentum going. And it's hard. I'm not trying to say everyone should do what we're doing, but also it's not just me. I have a really incredible group of people who are working hard to make the next film happen. And yeah, you just kind of have to have things ready to go in the pipeline and ready to move forward, because, if we're looking at that timeline, Bundy Manor, we shot it in 2021. It released in 2023. We shot Demonetize so it released at the end of 2023 in September, and then we shot Demonetize the end of 2024. So I guess we're in a situation where, if I want to kind of follow that momentum, I need to make sure that we have things lined up for that to happen. And the good news is we do. Tim has worked really hard on a script. The weekend we kind of mentioned it. That's moving along. I have a movie called Depths of Animoya. I think we've talked about the title. Maybe not. Maybe we haven't. No, I think so. I think the title's been revealed. But I am very close. The big point of this podcast I'm going to talk about today is like me deep diving into an interesting thing that happened with me with the script. So we'll get to that. And yeah, we have a rom-com also, but that's taking a long time, and because that's going to be potentially filming in different states. Hopefully not. I'd love to shoot it here in LA, but we're just going to have to see how things roll out. But yeah, so hopefully by that timeline, Demonetize will come out end of next year at the latest, which it's on track to officially. And then I would really hope to have another movie filming either the start. I mean, if I had it my way, it would be the start of next year. But, again, looking at the timeline and things, usually it's, a year from when the other movie's released. So I'm just trying to be optimistic. And yeah, I know the times are getting farther and farther apart, but we're also asking for bigger and bigger budgets. So yeah, and I'll be doing the investor run, and I'll be chasing after everyone and asking for leads and seeing who's interested and seeing who's not. And you kind of have to be very fearless with that, which, maybe we can bring up the investor conversation. I know that's one that people ask me quite a bit. And I'm more than happy to tell them. I'm not going to give them names of like who I found, because I worked really hard to find those people, but you can do the same. But you just need those documents to back you up, and so that you can get ready and you can do that. So, but yeah, so it's looking really exciting. And I currently have I have one script that's heading into its 12th revision, which is pretty high. I mean, it really depends. Like, you never should, I used to I saw a TikTok video the other day that was like, I have 22 revisions, and I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of revisions. I should be beefing it up. But I guess Demonetize got up there. But it was mostly once we started cast and crew, and once we started to like really have the budget come together and what we could and couldn't get, and the scope of everything, we really started to just nitpick and do little things. And then casting, once we had casting, we really rewrote a few things to help hype up more the actors and that were casted, and play more to their strengths. But yeah, so working on that, and then I'm working on another script with Janine Hogan. It's a very kind of Demonetized type script. We actually have a couple ideas we're working on. I'm very excited about. Always kind of keep in mind about, I really want Janine to be, especially when I'm writing with Janine, she's going to be the lead role, all that fun stuff. So just trying to keep that in mind. And then I have a rom-com I've written with my buddy Clyde. He's been on the podcast. He's a producer at J WAT. He's produced both movies so far. Really funny dude. And this is strictly a romantic holiday comedy, I would say. But yeah, we're working hard on that. And yeah, and then I have another thing currently in the works. It's very, very early, so I even hesitate to bring it up. But we'll see if it pans out, and it could be a fun opportunity to have. So yeah, but bringing it back to my current, the not Demonetize, that's my current movie, but the future movie hopefully I'll make, called Depths of Animoya. It has been a fascinating journey with this script. One, it's very personal. Two, it's not really as like funny as Demonetize. In fact, it's a little more like Bundy Manor in the sense of it being, we tried to make it as serious as possible, but also my comedy really slipped out, and you know, it's not like a super serious movie. It just deals with some heavy topics, as life does. It is another movie about generational trauma. And maybe I'm heading towards the cusp of the end of that, because now I'm seeing more and more jokes about how horror movies are so much about that. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, but a very fascinating thing this time around. I've been working on this script for a little over a year now, and it has been very interesting to, I don't know if it's just me growing as a screenwriter or a filmmaker, but I'm starting to really like have really big gut feelings and reactions. I used to just kind of like, wee, write the story I want to write, and huge set pieces and crazy shit goes down, and then we'll figure out budget later. And then I met Terrence. Terrence is one of our he's a producer here at J WAT, but he also does a lot of our budgets, and he does that for a lot of films, so he knows how much things are going to cost. And I don't know, it's fascinating to, as you grow as a filmmaker, just in general, that you get certain gut feelings because you've learned, right? And you've learned by trial and error, and you've realized certain things. And so basically what happened with this script is, once I get to a point where like, I feel like I've gotten a lot of great feedback, the script is in a really great place that I'm really excited about, I then go to my buddy Josh Bragg. He's a creative producer. He was a creative director. He was a creative director producer for Demonetize. He does it for his work, but basically his job, at least in my mind, is polish and like helping me not forget certain little things. And so the other day with this script, we spent about 4 or 5 hours on the script, just like really fixing dialogue, really fixing tempo and flow, and you know, again, this is quite a few drafts, so it's looking good, but there was just a few little things here and there. But something very fascinating happened where I left that meeting, and I was just like, and again, Josh didn't say anything about it. I just had this overwhelming feeling like, you got to change the ending, dude. You got to change this ending. So, and I couldn't shake it. And it's a feeling I haven't had yet before. Like, if someone gives me that opinion, like I've changed certain things, or if I have had, you know, again, like I was mentioning, certain cast members come up, I'll have a gut feeling of like, oh, okay, we should change certain dialogue and things like that. But this was the first time, like story-wise, where I was like, okay, I need to change this entire ending, because, again, without spoiling it, it's literally the ending. It was a giant set piece, and it was a giant moment, and it was a very hard, it was a lot. It was a lot to do for the budget. Even though we're asking for more money than Demonetize, I just, there was stuff during Demonetize that unfortunately we were rushing through, or we just didn't have the time for. And I'm trying to, navigate that this time around, and being like, okay, and, cost wise, like, yes, the ending was going to take place in one location, but it was a location that was pretty specific. We would need it for several days. And like, in my mind, I just couldn't, I couldn't wrap my head around being able to afford it and make it look good. I think we would have to use a lot of cheap tricks to make certain things happen. And so I came up with an idea that would save us money. And again, it's funny to talk about this because I don't want to spoil anything because it's literally the ending, but I posted on a few groups. I talked about it on my Instagram about like how I feel about this happening and if anyone felt this. And I got some really kind advice about like, hey, if it's a gut feeling, you should go for it. There was one comment that was like, why would you sacrifice anything for budget? But it's like, well, I'm trying to make things, dude. And like, that is an interesting thing, right? Because I'm sure a lot of, especially screenwriters, I've met a lot more screenwriters who are like solely screenwriters who don't understand budget, who kind of feel like, oh, I'm going to write the best story possible, don't care about budget, and I'm going to sell it. And then they're going to go make it for that much money. It happens, but it's very rare, especially for a new screenwriter. It just is very rare. And so, but as someone who's directs and who's going to go out there and look for investment, I really kind of harken back and think about like, okay, what did I learn from Demonetize with investment? What have I learned for this movie? What do I do to work hard to make sure that this movie can be the best movie it can be on the budget that I'm going to shoot for? And the ending needed to change is what my gut feeling started to tell me. Now, every time I write a new draft, I always save a new version. Always. I literally, so like I said, I'm on my 10th draft working towards my 11th draft or 12th, I can't remember. But I have from draft 1 a new saved project. I can go all the way back to the first draft if I wanted to. I don't know why, but I could if I wanted to. So yeah, it's been a really interesting learning experience that I've never felt before, like, especially with screenwriting. It always kind of got to a point where I just kind of rolled with the punches, and you can't really do that with film. I've started to realize, and I'm 36. Maybe I should have learned this a long time ago, but there's nothing, there's really, when you're on a shoestring budget, I guess there's some things you just have to, and like things come up you just don't expect, but you really don't want, if you can avoid it, do it. That's why pre-production is so important. And one thing I'm realizing is how much time I have before a film gets made is quite a bit. And yes, it's free work and labor for me, but I have been doing that pre-production now, and I've been laying out the groundwork now, and I've been trying to think about like, okay, what can I do to like make things easier for when we start getting into pre-production, that it's just going to be like, okay, cool, here you go. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what and we got to do that with Demonetize, which was nice, but I would have liked more time. And again, that's why we're going to try and go for more money, especially with these set pieces and these effects and all this stuff. So, yeah. Again, yeah, it was a really fascinating thing where I just had this gut feeling like, okay, I need to absolutely change this ending. And at first I thought it was just going to be like, all right, I'm going to change the location, but I'm going to it'll still be the same dialogue, but even that didn't seem to work. So I like how it flows more. I like how it builds more. I also added, a twist of like a little hitting more to home of what I'm trying to get across with this script. And we're just going to see. We're just going to see if that's something that's going to resonate with people. And, it's hard because like now the ending is back to the baby stages. And we were literally going to this week start reaching out to investors and actors and all that fun stuff. And now I'm kind of like, okay, now we have to hold off because the ending is very important, and now it's back to the infant stages, and I need to get feedback on dialogue and read it out loud and things like that. So yeah, it's just been really cool. It's been really eye-opening to have that experience, and I'm excited to, hopefully my gut feeling was right. No one knows the script more than me, so I guess I'll just have to see how things pan out and how I feel. So, but yeah. So anyways, other than that, life is going pretty well. Love Spider-Man. Been obsessed with Spider-Man. I saw Tony. I really liked Tony. I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain, so that was really cool. And yeah, I'm just getting really excited about Norway. Anxious about the flight. I can't wait to get there, but I'm just anxious about the flight. I'm gonna have to come up with some things to like make it easier. And I know I said this last podcast, but give me your travel tips if any of you have been out there and have done that. So, but anyways, yeah. So this is just a quick little bite-sized podcast for this week. I hope everything is going well for you. I hope you're killing it with your projects. Thank you for following us, and I love following you guys back just to like, hype up and support you all when you're working on projects. So keep doing that. You can follow me personally at Waddy McFly. You can follow J WAT everywhere, J WAT or J WAT Productions. And now I've been uploading these to the YouTube. So if you're big on watching these live, we try and put out the podcast the same time. If you want to see our ugly faces, there's a reason I'm behind the camera, people. So, and yeah, if any of you ever have any questions, please reach out to us. I'd love to answer them. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Bye.